everybody, Dacob here. Happy New Year, it's 2019 and I'm back. Never give up on love, get the merch, the Super Dacob merch in the bar down below. Also in the link down below if you haven't already. But this video is about Chanel Chance Eau Tendre. Here we have the Chanel Chance Eau Tendre Eau de Toilette, 150 ml, the biggest one they make. Had this one, I don't know, a couple of years. Didn't use the whole thing. It's like almost half used. And then we have the newly released Chanel Chance Eau Tendre Eau De Parfum, which I got from the Chanel Beauty Boutique a couple of days ago prior to New Year's Eve. So let's unbox it and we're going to review it. We're going to unbox it, review it, and compare the Eau De Parfum to the Eau de Toilette. So let's see. Okay, packaging, quite tight. This one has been released as 50 and 100 ml spray. So when we take it out, there's no special packaging inside like, you know, Chanel No. 5 or all the classic Chanel bottles like COCO Mademoiselle Intense would have, you know, the paper opening up in the shape of a bottle. This is just really regular. But the color is that pearly, rosy, irisy, pinky, cool pinky tone that we're used to from Chanel Chance Eau Tendre in particular, but all of the Chances have that pinky tone. So the first thing we notice, of course, this is 100 ml. That's the biggest size they have at the moment, 150 ml, is the stopper. The stopper is in metal instead of being in plastic. The plastic version being the kind of frosted, plasticky, translucent stopper or top on the Eau de Toilette spray. Here we have a silver kind of ring around the bottle and then a silver stopper. So you see, you can mix your gold and your silver. A lot of people don't want to mix gold and silver. It's so annoying when they go like, but I'm a gold person, I'm a silver person. Oh, who says you can't mix gold and silver? Proof is in the pudding. Look at that. Here there's a complete mix. The ring around the bottle, the silver ring around the bottle meets the golden ring around the neck of the bottle, and then we have a silver stopper. This one is all silver. Chance is written in white on the Eau de Toilette and in gold on the Eau de Parfum. So they're both made in France. Thank goodness for that. Let's spray it. It's a very heavy metal stopper. On the inside, it's white plastic, but the outside of it is very, very heavy. It's like a dice, you know, you could roll it. Okay. And we have the golden little thing. Let me just come in as close as possible. All right. I'm going to spray it on this hand. We did 3 spritzes, and I also like to do it on the outside. Okay, the sprayer is interesting. Very rich and wet and creamy and dense. It's really good. Let's do the Eau de Toilette on this arm. This one also has a very rich sprayer. Okay, so the Eau de Toilette is more chemical in the opening notes. It's a bit more, also more alcoholic, right off the bat, alcoholic. And then that kind of waves off, washes off, and then you get that beautiful pearly smell of Eau Tendre. And to know more about the review of the Chance Eau Tendre Eau de Toilette, you could check that out. I have made a review specifically on the Eau de Toilette. Link is in the description box down below. But now let's get to the Eau de Parfum. Eau de Parfum will be released this month, worldwide, I guess. Wait, let me just get into the ingredients. The pre-launch happened in the Chanel beauty boutiques and I think also on the Chanel website. So top notes, it gives us quince, grapefruit, rose, jasmine, sorry, middle notes are rose and jasmine, and then the base notes is white musk. Um, it does talk about a particular jasmine, but quite frankly, I mean, the description is with Eau Tendre, Eau De Parfum, Olivier Polge, in cooperation. Now, this is so weird because usually it's just Olivier Polge is the creator of the perfume, or Jacques Polge is the creator of the perfume before he retired. But now they say Olivier Polge, in cooperation with the Chanel Laboratory of Fragrance Creation and Development, reinterprets the floral fruity signature, more intense, more enveloping. The vision expresses a radiant and a confident femininity. Its floral heart accentuates the fullness of exotic jasmine absolute. That was the thing I was missing. The exotic jasmine absolute. Feminine, 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 feminine. Gosh, when will they learn to stop using masculine and feminine to describe perfumes? When? They already know. They're just doing this for marketing purposes because they want their women to buy these fragrances. Oh, little does Chanel know. You would sell much, much more if this one was marketed and targeted as a unisex fragrance. Now a lot of you are going to be writing me and saying, no, it still smells too feminine for me. Why? Who programmed the chip in your brain to make you think that something floral equals feminine? Which planet do you come from? Floral doesn't equal anything. Gender-wise, floral equals either like the way the flower smells on you or you don't. It's as simple as that. Call me basic, but it's as simple as that. So let's see how it develops. The ingredients that they list is very limited. I think Chanel is becoming more and more stingy in terms of giving away what ingredients are in an actual fragrance, because in fact we have a wider, broader range or spectrum of ingredients listed in the Eau de Toilette, which are the same ones that I've just mentioned to you for the Eau de Parfum. On top of that, they also list amber, iris, hyacinth, Virginia cedar, but they do not list the rose. It's more creamy. The Eau de Parfum reminds me a lot of classic 80s fragrances. There's something opulent and rich and creamy about it that also, I know this perfume has nothing really to do with Poison, with Christian Dior's first edition of Poison, but there's something Poison-esque about it, not in the smell, but in the intentions. Now, I remember in particular, Poison is all about the plum and the opoponax, but that plummy fruitiness is so creamy and luscious in the original Poison. And there's a tendency of going back to that creamy fruitiness, which we haven't seen in perfumery for quite a while now. And I'm talking about good quality perfumery, not the, tacky, crappy stuff that we can also purchase. I'm talking, good quality mass release products. This one hints back at the tendency we had, in the 80s of that kind of luscious creaminess, that almost white, milky, oily, I wouldn't say, because it is too fruity to be oily. There's nothing really heavy in here, but the Eau de Parfum does have a creaminess to it, while the Eau de Toilette has more of a... It's more flowy, it's more water-like, and this one is more dense. I dare not say oil. I would still call it creamy. It's less dense than oil. The Eau de Parfum is a cream, and the Eau de Toilette is water or lotion, you could call it, with a bit of alcohol. Because as I said, when we sprayed this one, head notes were quite etylic, alcoholic. And then it settles down and it's divine. But the Eau de Toilette, it settles down and is divine and lasts really hours and hours and hours, actually over a day on my skin and on my clothes. The Eau de Parfum, very sophisticated, and it is strong. It is stronger than the Eau de Toilette, and the Eau de Toilette already for me is strong enough. But it's a different type of intensity. It's a different type of strength. it blends in very well the notion of that fruitiness, you know, the grapefruit, the grapefruit and the top notes. And usually I'm not a fan of grapefruit. Here it's subdued. It doesn't really conquer all the olfactory senses that you have, you know. Like in some perfumes, when they have grapefruit listed in them, it's just a mess. But this one, it almost feels like there's a hint of vanilla there as well. I know they don't list it. Well, in the Eau de Toilette, they do list amber. So maybe it's a bit, I don't know. Well, the white musk is not white. This floral, I mean, the whole bottle is kind of rosy and pink. It does smell not really lavender or lilac. It goes into purple, I think. It's more purple than the Eau de Toilette would be. The Eau de Parfum is definitely more purple. Now let me see the color of the liquid. Compare the two. Interesting. So yeah, the Eau de Parfum is also more purple than the Eau de Toilette. Like it's more intense in color. It's just a hue or two more intense. Now I'm going to be photographing these bottles also. You can see them on my Instagram profile, superdacob, all spelled together. So you could check out the differentiation of the colors of the liquids and the stopper, you know, the quality and all that stuff. I've been saying this for a while now, that modern day mass-produced perfumery tends to really focus on making the wearer, the potential buyer, customer, really enjoy the top notes immediately, you know. So there's no more time needed for somebody to wait for the fragrance to develop on the skin to see whether or not they like it or not. Marketing has developed, you know, chemicals and perfumes so that they smell immediately good to you first second you spray them on, because people don't have time anymore. We're living in a very speedy society where you need to like it immediately. You buy it, you go home. 1 hour later, you realize the dry down ain't that good. With the Eau de Toilette, the opening notes, because they're a bit more alcoholic, they're not as easy. It's still an easy fragrance from the beginning to the end compared to a lot of other fragrances out there. But you fall in love with the perfume, with the Eau de Toilette, the more time goes by. With the Eau de Parfum, something very interesting happens. We like it. We like the smell of it from the get-go. The opening really works. And then as the perfume progresses, it doesn't really change that much. It doesn't really go through this huge transformation. There's no real cathartic moment happening there. It kind of lingers there. You know, it stays quite true to its core and DNA throughout its whole lifespan on the skin. And I've tried this a couple of days prior before purchasing it on my skin. So even though I am doing an unboxing now for you guys for YouTube, I have already tried the perfume in the boutique. So I know kind of how the dry down is gonna be. It really has that memory kick. You know, whenever I hunt down a vintage perfume bottle from the 80s of fragrances that were composed in the 80s, not fragrances that exist since the 20s and have been produced also in the 80s. I'm talking about perfumes that were launched in the 80s. They all have something in common, and that is that kind of luxurious creaminess. And I think it's really wonderful that Olivier managed to, I don't think it was intentional. I don't think he was going for, I don't think that guy thinks that far, to be honest with you. But no matter, it doesn't matter. The poetry it kind of instigates or ignites in me is the memory of that creaminess, of that era of decadence and luxury just for the sake of luxury. And it's not, and again, luxury, let's quote Coco for the 10th billionth time. Luxury is not the opposite of poverty. Luxury is the opposite of vulgarity. So let's bear that in mind when we talk about luxury. We're not talking about money. We're not talking about the Kardashian clan showing off their disgusting suitcases that have printed rich as fuck on them. We're not talking about that. That is vulgar. Let's make that very clear. That is vulgar. And whoever out there, the millions of people that are cheering, what's her name? Kris Jenner, I think, the mother of the clan, for having a rich as fuck bag, saying, yes, great, amazing. No, it's not great. It's not amazing. And it's okay to have the money. You've earned it in whatever way you know how, and you have that money. But it's vulgar. It's just vulgar. Not just that suitcase, showing it in that, whatever. It really. One of the reasons why also I haven't been posting videos in a longer time is because I'm just so fed up and so tired of seeing the same shite day in and day out on YouTube and on all other platforms. People showing their crap for all the wrong reasons. We're living in this roller coaster, in this vortex of superficiality that just transcends any logic left in this world. People are so ignorant. You show them the map of the world, they can't point out how many continents are there, what country is where do they come from, where do they live. And yet, each and every one of them claims to know how to reach the fame, how to reach the money, make the coin. It's all about the coin, it's all about the coin. Well, the coin isn't luxury. And if you don't know how to use the coin that you've made, that ain't luxury either. Back to Eau Tendre and my rant. My rant is not over, actually. I'm really angry inside because of this. And I'm still debating how to proceed with the entire YouTube experience here because I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of so many crappy comments coming in, not just on my videos, but also on other videos, and people interested in the most stupid and vile things, you know, that have like nothing to do with real life. It's just really obnoxious. It's coming to a point where I just shut it off. I just shut it off and I go and read a book. And I feel so much relieved after that. I feel like shit when I watch too many YouTube videos because most of them are really bad. And then when I also spend a lot of time on Instagram or on Twitter, it's just, I feel so drained and brain dead after a session of any one of those crappy platforms that have taken over our lives like the most disgusting and vile virus that there is. Now I'm trying again to go back to Eau Tendre. Eau Tendre, right. The Eau De Parfum. So I was talking about this luscious feeling for luxury, the original luxury, that luxury for the sake of luxury, which is not richness, which is not about money, but it's about an opulence that you define for yourself through the expression of your perfume. What does that mean? Like Coco Chanel said, and I posted this on my Instagram, back to social media, in the Insta stories, but it's in the folder Chanel. It's one of the quotes of Coco where she says, you know, perfume is the most important accessory a man and a woman can have, because that accessory is the first thing you notice of a person entering a room. And once the person leaves the room, it is a fragrance that you still smell as a trace after they have long gone. So that's why perfume is so important, and that's why I'm talking about a certain type of luxury from the 80s. In the 80s, not just, you know, a lot of perfume reviewers are going to tell you, but the powerhouse, this terminology, the powerhouse of the 80s. But a lot of them are going to mention it. And what does that mean? These like really, really cloying at times fragrances that just smell a mile away. You know, you smell a person coming, and once they've gone, you still smell them. This has to do with, of course, very concentrated essential oils, but also a lot of them are not really that expensive. They're also chemically built, but the tendency was to just leave a mark. Huge shoulder pads in the 80s also needed to leave a mark. Everything was built bigger, over the top. Life size ain't big enough. It has to be bigger than life in order to be acceptable. What Eau Tendre, Eau de Parfum manages to balance very well is it brings back that notion of bigger than life 80s, but it very shrewdly interprets it within the context of, well, because it's been launched in 2019, within 2019. Now, I can only speak for 2018 because 2019 just began. We don't really know where it's heading to. I mean, I have a feeling where it's heading to, but let's not go there right now. But in terms of 2018, it's a really interesting interpretation of a certain type of voluptuous, luscious, luxurious 80s smell within 2018/19. Very clever, because it doesn't, you know, there's not a lot of those benzoin smells, those kind of oily, deep, greasy smells that kind of just stick with you for days and days. It's as if you stripped this one away from that, but you left all the other strong, powerful ingredients in it. So it's a fresh take on an 80s intensity. And it's creamy and it's luscious and it's delicious. Really, I am in love. In fact, let me tell you one thing. So usually I go for the big bottles immediately, but sometimes with certain fragrances, because, you know, I still have 150 ml of the Eau de Toilette and kind of more than half of it actually still left. I thought to myself, let's go for the 50 ml because, you know, I still have a lot of, you know, but then I sprayed it on. So I had the 50 ml in hand, the actual box, you know, talking to my sales associate, ready to kind of go to the cash register and purchase it. And then kept sniffing myself and talking to my sales associate, and I was kind of like falling deeper and deeper in love. At one point, I was just like, you know what? Just give me the 100 ml, literally. Why? Anyway, you know, it's like a $30 difference for double the size. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's worth it. And I'm definitely going to be bathing in this one, bathing in it, especially in the cold months, because it's a cool, it's a paradox, because it's a cool, warm fragrance. It's cold because, it has that grapefruity, that citrusy kind of tone in it. It's fresh, hence cooling per definition. But then it has that kind of ambery, musky dry down, and with all those hues of purples, and they're warm. I mean, they're like a cooler warm, but it's warm at the same time. So it keeps you cool and warm at the same time, which is a great thing in winter, especially if you're a person like me, you're traveling a lot, then you're going into all these weird places, like, you know, you enter one space, it's overheated and you're sweating and you got to take off all the layers and it's disgusting and you're all sticky. And then you have to go out because you got to go somewhere else and it's like freezing cold. And then like you're all still wet and sweaty because inside it was overheated. And then you got to put all the layers back on, but you haven't really dried up yet. And then you got to jump into a car, and and then you got to ask the driver or the taxi person or whatever. Or if you're in a bus, you try to open the window because it's overheated as well. If you're going through public transportation or if you're going in a taxi, same issue there. Then you got to ask the driver, can you please open the window? They're like, yeah, but it's cold. And you're like, yeah, I know, but it's too hot. And it's a mess. At least I can speak for myself. In winter, I'm a mess because I'm a very hot person. That's my nature. So I sweat really easily. But then when it's cold, I feel the cold really easily. And it takes me a long time to dry up so it's really complicated. This fragrance helps me balance out my stress level because it calms me down. Chanel No. 5 is one of my favorite perfumes, the pure perfume in particular. But there's a heat to it. Even in the dry down, when it hits that soft May rose, which is incredible, still there's a heat to it. It heats me up. This one doesn't. This one balances me, and that is already worth the while for sure. And it's less soapy than the Eau de Toilette. The Eau de Toilette is more chemical. They're both chemical. They're both mass-release fragrances. Let's not beat around the bush about this, guys. This is not this natural product that is harvested by hand to get the... This is a mass, a million times produced product. So, of course, it's a chemical concoction. But, chemically speaking, this one smells less chemical than this one does. And I love both. So there you have it, guys. I hope you like this review and my return to YouTube. If you have enjoyed it, thumb up the video. Also, subscribe to my channel here on YouTube if you haven't already. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm also on Patreon, superdacob all spelled together. You can join me on Patreon, become a patron, and support the Fashion Bunker, you will have access to incredible material, footage, photos, and in particular, and especially videos that are only available on Patreon. Other than that, there's the merch, Never Give Up on Love. You can check that out in the bar down below, and I shall see you hopefully very soon in a new video. Love you and never give up on love. Bye. Mwah.